When you go to a cafe, there... Ta-da! Like, do you want my unsolicited opinion? I've tried to start this video about 4,000 times at this point, so I think I'm just gonna launch into what our topic is today. So obviously, we are back in the cafe, and today we're gonna talk about espresso, and specifically ordering espresso, because frankly, it can be a little bit intimidating, especially on your first try. So we're gonna talk about some of the interesting things that can happen when you order an espresso, how to drink it, and how it's prepared. So we have to head up to the counter. We have to start ordering. Let's go. Now, espresso is kind of considered the holy grail of coffee drinks. It's something that is very, very delicious, but it's not always a beginner's drink. That being said though, we all have to begin somewhere. So let's say you are ready to start your espresso journey at a coffee shop. Now you could just go up to the counter, of course, and order an espresso, and you would get exactly that. But we want to set you up for success here. We want this to be the best possible experience. So we're going to talk first of all about how to order the drink. Now, while I scoot behind the counter as I do to go be a barista, I want to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video. I want to give a huge thank you to Babbel for sponsoring today's video. Babbel is a language learning app that teaches practical conversational tools in short 10-minute interactive lessons. With multiple ways to learn, such as games, classes, and videos, Babbel will get you speaking in just 3 weeks. And with a 20-day money-back guarantee, there's nothing to lose. Now, back when I was in high school, I spent a few years learning German, and I actually lived in Germany for the summer. However, in the years since I've graduated, I've lost a lot of the knowledge that I once had. Babbel has been an amazing way to refresh my skills and has given me the confidence I need to travel again, which I definitely want to do at some point. So if you're interested in finally pursuing that language you've always wanted to learn, now is the time. Because if even I can remember how to say Ich bin morgen und ich trinke Kaffee, then so can you. Join Babbel now by clicking the link in the description to sign up and get 65% off your subscription. Again, that's the top link below and you will get 65% off. And thank you again to Babbel for sponsoring today's video. Okay, hello there, and welcome back. You could certainly walk up to me and order an espresso. As a barista, I know what you mean. Easy enough, you'll have it waiting for you on the bar in approximately 3 minutes. However, if you want a little bit more context as to what you're drinking, here are a couple questions I think you should be asking. Number one, a very, very appropriate question to ask your barista if you're thinking about ordering espresso is asking, what is on espresso today? Because the drink you are going to be receiving is simply one thing. You're not adding milk to it. You're not necessarily, at least in the beginning, adding any syrups or sugars. You're just getting espresso. So it's a very appropriate thing to ask what that espresso is going to be. Frequently, me as a barista will tell you probably the origin of where the coffee is going to be from. I will probably tell you the processing of the coffee. So whether it is a wash process or a natural process or a honey process, all those things give more context to the flavor. And I'll also probably tell you who roasted it. Now, the second thing that may happen in this interaction is that your barista kind of levies a question back at you. And that will happen if they happen to have more than one thing on espresso at a given time. Some cafes will only carry one coffee on espresso, and when you order an espresso, that is simply the coffee you will get. However, sometimes there are 2 or more coffees, in which case you then have a choice. And this kind of ties back to what you prefer in flavor. Sometimes people prefer things that are a little bit darker, a little bit more chocolatey, or sometimes they prefer things that are lighter, a little bit brighter and fruitier in their profile. Generally, if a cafe is carrying more than one coffee, they will kind of carry a range or try to carry a range of profiles on espresso. So in that case, just kind of pick whichever one sounds best to you. Okay, but at least at this point, you've found out what is on espresso. Great, perfect. You have now officially ordered your espresso in theory. So I want you to come back here because I want to show you what happens next on my end. It's time for you to come behind the bar. This is so exciting. Welcome, friend. This is very exciting. You're basically a barista now by being back here. Immediately as a barista, when I hear that an espresso has been ordered, there's something that I like to do. So let's say, for context, that we're in the middle of a Saturday rush. Let's say we have like 18 lattes in the row. Let's say we've been pulling drinks for the past like 2 hours. And then suddenly, at the end of the line, you see an espresso pop up. This is a very good indication that I should be cleaning everything very thoroughly. Now, most cafe drinks, a large portion of them are going to be milk drinks, meaning that any imperfections or any like slightly off moments in flavor in the espresso will usually be covered by either the syrups or the milks that you're adding. However, an espresso by itself needs to be as carefully prepared as possible. So I will do things like pop out the basket here, my pop it under here, give it a little rinse with some hot water. I might even wipe out the inside of my portafilter. This is all to just make sure the tools that we're using are as conducive for good flavor and the best result as possible. Now we're gonna do some preparation for our espresso. In a cafe, we want to be weighing the input, which is gonna be the dry weight of the coffee grounds. We want to weigh the output, which is our final espresso. And in the meantime, we wanna make sure that our puck, our espresso puck, is prepared as nicely as possible. So we're gonna start by zeroing out our scale, and then we grind. We want to go for 19 grams. Now we come to the next stage, which is going to be puck preparation. Frequently, when you see either home baristas or home enthusiasts creating espresso to a pretty high caliber, you'll see tools like WDT tools for distribution. You'll see funnels being used. You'll see puck screens being used. And all of these are very, very wonderful tools for ensuring that your puck is very, very nicely prepared for like an even and thorough extraction, which is very necessary for kind of peak flavor, if you will. However, in a cafe, it's a little bit different. We don't necessarily have the luxury of spending 2 to 3 minutes each time preparing our espresso shots. So your barista will probably do a couple things to kind of get partially there as close as possible in the allotted time limit. So I like to do things by kind of hand leveling the shot, just very, very lightly tapping. I like to do things like making sure kind of the rim and the forks of my portafilter are very clean, little tap. And then I use 2 tools, and a lot of specialty cafes use these 2 tools. This right here is a distributor. It distributes, as the name implies, and makes sure we have a nice level bed on top. So then when we tamp, we are tamping as flat as possible. So place on top, you'll see him spin, remove, and it's so satisfying, very, very satisfying. Then when tamping, place flat on top, press down evenly. I like to do a little square shape, spin to release, and up we go. That is a pretty nice, clean, well-prepared puck right there. Then run a little bit of water through that group head. We're ready to go. We're gonna time this shot. This is the boring part where we wait. But don't worry, it's only like 27 seconds of waiting. Now, as your barista, I could certainly serve you this shot. However, let's say we're in the middle of a busy day. We're not totally sure what the coffee tastes like at this point. It's been a little bit since we tested the dial. In this case, I might use this as sort of a practice shot before I finally serve you an espresso. So we're just gonna take a little cup. We're gonna weigh out our espresso. Perfect. And I, very quickly, very sneakily, I'm gonna have a sip. This is not to say that I don't trust that the coffee tastes good right now. This is just kind of a precautionary measure to make sure what you are getting is as good as possible. I like this. I think it tastes really good. I would be happy to serve this. So let's pull you one. Here is your double espresso. You want to know what to do with the water? Okay, all right, here, get up. I'll sit down, I'll show you. Many cafes will present your espresso with a glass of usually sparkling water. Sometimes it'll be still or mineral water, but usually there is a little accompaniment that comes with your espresso. Additionally, most cafes will serve it with a little tiny spoon called a demi-tasse spoon. It's very, very cute. Now your spoon is here to incorporate the crema into the body of your espresso. Now, if you would really like to, of course, you could swirl your espresso, but besides that being a little bit dangerous, it doesn't really do its job because your crema still kind of floats on top. And to get it fully incorporated, you really have to like vigorously swirl it, which this demi-tasse cup is not intended for that purpose. If you use your spoon, a couple simple back and forth methods will do the job perfectly. By doing this, you kind of homogenize your espresso into one singular beverage. It's a lot more pleasant, in my opinion at least, to sip your espresso with the crema fully incorporated. It's not required. None of this is required, certainly, but it's something that's a little bit nice, and it's what the spoon is at least intended for. You can sip your espresso. Now, the espresso is delicious, it's wonderful, but it is a drink that is packed full of flavor. It's very, very punchy, and let's say you want to take a break from the flavor. In that case, you do have a glass of lovely, refreshing sparkling water. There are no rules to the water. You can drink the water before your espresso. You can drink it during your espresso. You can even drink it entirely after your espresso. But it is here to pair with the coffee, to act either as a palate cleanser or potentially just something to kind of soften the overall experience. These things aside, let's say you are not enjoying your espresso very much. In that case, it is completely appropriate and 100% fine to ask your barista perhaps for a little side of sugar. I sometimes like to add that to an espresso just to switch it up, to be a little bit fun with that. In that case, your spoon comes in extra handy. Once you've acquired your sugar, feel free to add just a little spoonful just to start off with. Do a little bit of gentle stirring right here. Be careful. Vigorous stirring could definitely lead to some spillage, which is, well, sometimes inevitable, not always the most graceful thing. And then continue to taste to your liking. Hopefully at this point, you have had a very pleasant experience all around with your espresso. You ordered it very gracefully and knowledgeably. You knew how it was being prepared. You were served something that you enjoyed, and you understood all the components that came with it. That is the end goal of this video. Did we reach the end goal, Graham, do you think?
Yes.
Graham thinks so, which means my communication skills are great. I hope by the end of this video you have felt emboldened, perhaps, that espresso is something that you may enjoy and you feel comfortable ordering. It's very delicious. Again, it is something that may take a little bit of a learning curve to get to enjoying, but I think it's very worth kind of traveling that learning curve, and hopefully this has been a helpful component of that. Now, chaos aside, I had a very nice time preparing this, and maybe this will be a video format that we pursue more in the future. We shall see. Now, I'm Morgan Drinks Coffee pretty much everywhere that I'm active on. You can find me here on YouTube once a week for similar amounts of chaos. You can also find me on TikTok and Instagram pretty much every single day. Now, I hope today's video was a little bit helpful in one way or another, and I hope you had as good of a time watching as I did filming, as chaotic as it was. So, until next time, I hope you have a great day. I'll see you later. I'm gonna do this very carefully, but goodbye.